Hey everybody, so this is going to be our texturing demo to show the changes you can make to the bone dragon. This is the initial look that you get when the package. It's a very detailed, dirty, old bone um, look, and so I want to modify this just to change it up a little bit. And so, actually, I'm going to change it up a lot, so that I was lying there. Um, so if you go into the project under the SFA Studios and SFB Bone Dragon, you'll find the procedural materials here. And that's going to be, let me widen this up for a little bit, right here. So that's going to have one file. Underneath that file, you'll find these two materials, the limbs and the spine. And we've got two materials for this bone dragon. So just go ahead and select the limbs to start. And just first, we'll look at the skull. There's all these options. Each part is separated to many parts, and each part has hue, saturation, lightness, contrast, an overlay color, a roughness shift, and custom material offset if you use custom materials options. So for this one, let's just bring up the lightness for the skull. There you go. You may find that it takes a little while for the first change to set in, but once that happens, you can usually slide the modification back and forth pretty decently. So I want to make a lighter version, a little less dirty. So I'm going to bring up this lightness a little bit, maybe just 0.68. Now, I could do the same to the wings, to the horns, to the wing claws, and all that, but that's going to get a little tedious. So we've built in this match skull area up here. So I'm going to match the wings to the skull. I'm going to match the front legs and the hind legs to the skull as well. There we go. The rest of the spine is actually on the other material, so we'll do that for that material as well in just a bit. But I also wanted to bring down the saturation a little bit because I wanted to make a bone dragon that's less orange. I don't like that orange look, so I'm going to bring down the saturation a little bit too much. Right there, we'll say 0.37. Alright, so we've got a saturation of 0.37 and a lightness of 0.68. So I'm going to go to the spine. And just like the skull, there's a matched spine. So I'm going to match the tail, the hips, ribs, and we'll do the spikes and tail spikes as well. And our saturation was, I believe, 0.37 and 0.68 for the lightness. Alright, now we've got the most of the body. Our spines are still, again, I'm noticing a bug, I believe. Sometimes these don't always update as they should. There we go. So now we've got the body all much lighter, much more like a newer bone than the old bone. But I need to change these claws. Let me go back to the limbs. I'm going to find the horns first. And let's bring up that lightness a little bit. Alright, so I've brought the contrast up, the lightness up, and the saturation down. But I do want to add a little bit of color, but I want to be very specific about the color I add. So I'm going to just bring this overlay blend up just a little bit. I want to go with this very muted blue here. There we go. So I'm going to actually save this blue in my presets because I'm going to use the same look on my wing claws. So I'm going to match these 0.301, 0.688, and 0.367. Bring this up to 0.28 and match the color so that my wing claws match the horns. And now we're going to go to the regular claws. Currently have that overlay blend up. So I'm going to do something similar with these, I believe. Maybe I'll just make them much whiter. So let's start with the lightness and the saturation down. The overlay blend up and bring it white. And then I'm going to make them a little bit more reflective. So I want to bring the roughness shift down. Go, and we should see them reflecting the light differently than they were before. There you go. It's a subtle look. You can see it right here on the top. So if I bring that back up, you can see the change there. I'm going to bring it all the way down, make it very reflective, but that's not a good idea. So We're going to bring it just a little bit down so they just look a little shinier in the light. There we go. And then the teeth are dirty right now still. I think I want to make those a little lighter, so we'll just bring up the lightness. And maybe the contrast a little bit, so like a little bit whiter than the rest. There we go. So now we've got a white, or a clean, I'm going to call them a clean bone dragon. So with these selected, these circle options, not the top square, I'm going to export these maps. So ensure that generate all outputs is checked right here, and if that is, then go up to the top corner, click this little gear icon, click the export bitmaps, and then choose where you want to export it. I'm going to go into SFB Studios and SFB Bone Dragon maps. I've got some pre-saved ones already. I'm going to create a new folder and then call this Bone Dragon Clean, and we're going to choose that, and it's going to export the maps to that folder. It doesn't take more than a little bit to export them. Then you're going to select the other one for the spine and do the same thing. Always make sure that generate all outputs is selected. Export bitmaps. Choose the same folder. Now you'll have to leave Unity and come back in perhaps to make Unity import those files if you export them directly to the project. Alright, now that those have been imported, let's go check them out. They're in the Maps folder under Bone Dragon Clean, right here. So we have all these maps, but we don't need all these maps, and they do take up disk space. So we're going to get rid of a few of them, and we don't need the albedo. We have albedo opacity, so we're going to keep that one. We don't need the emissive, unless of course you put on a material that is emitting, then you'll keep that, but for generally you won't need it. So we're going to get rid of the albedo, emissive, the height, the metallic, and the roughness. The metallic and roughness, we have this one file. Unity wants them together, where the roughness is in the alpha channel and the metallic is in the red channel. So we've got those right there. And we're going to do that to both of these, so the albedo, emissive, height, metallic, roughness. We're just going to delete those. I'll save disk space for you. These are going to be saved as target files by default. You can change them to PNG to save some disk space if you'd like, if you're running out of disk space. So now we're going to create two materials. We're going to call one Bone Dragon Clean Limbs and Bone Dragon Clean Spine. And we're going to populate these with our maps. So bring the albedo opacity to the albedo, ambient occlusion to the occlusion, metallic roughness to the metallic, and the normal to the normal map. Now we do need to fix that to make sure that the normal map is set as a normal map. If you want to do that manually, you can just select the normal map and choose normal map. You do not want create from grayscale selected, so make sure that's unselected. Click apply. Alright, now we've got two materials here, and we're going to bring those directly onto the character. There we go. And now we have a Bone Dragon with the materials in the standard shader, and he's ready for use in the game. Of course, always you'll want to make sure that these are, resized for your game. Oftentimes 2048 maps are just bigger than you actually need, and you'll save a lot on RAM by bringing them down to 512 if that works for your game, especially if it's on mobile. So there you go. I'm going to make a bunch more maps. All of these can be downloaded at our website, infinitypbr.com. If you go to, once you log in and register your package, just put in your invoice number up here, register the package, you'll see these downloads here. So like our dragon pack over here has 2 downloads. It's got the dragon eggs and the dragon default. So the Bone Dragon's going to have all of these exports that I make now will be available for you there, so you can just download them and start drag them into your game, and they'll be ready to go if you just want to get going and use the dragon right away without creating your own textures. Alright, have a great day, guys. thing I do want to point out, that if you have any of the materials from our other packages, like I'm going to be using at the end of this, after the black dragon, I'm going to be using a steel from the weapons package. If you have any of those, you can easily bring them in as well. And so in the end, I'm going to be creating a metal dragon as well. So if you have any PBR materials, all you have to do is export those materials, very similar to how you did the bone dragon, and drag them into the custom nodes at the bottom of the inspector. One thing to note is that the normal map should be set as a texture and not a normal for that one. That's quite important, otherwise it will look funky. And then at the very top of the inspector, you'll just want to select under main, just click custom skull or whatnot. And if you have the match skull, then those will all work as well. And if you want to do if you want to do separate things for like the claws, change the color or the lightness of the metal, you'll need to bring those in for each section you want to do individually that you are not matching with the skull or the spine. So in this case, I'm not going to match the horns and the claws or the teeth, because I want to be able to do those individually. I am, of course, going to have to select to use custom claws and teeth.